Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Have At It and Let's Buck with Ben Remix. Last week we did the same thing, and I thought, well, why don't we do it again this week? So it's football season, as you know, and Have At It. Usually, it's about talking about anything, everything you want to talk about. But we know that from September to February, it's going to be dominated by football, and why not? It's the NFL is the best entertainment around. Also, the fact that, hey, new movies, new TV shows aren't happening because those writers and actors strike. So, what you really have right now is the NFL. You have football, you have college football, you got high school football, and you got the NFL. So, with that being said, it's Friday night. Have at it. But we're also going to have a Let's Buck with Ben. We're going to mix it up once again, and let's get right into it. So, as you know, last week the Bucks took on the Vikings. Big game from the Bucks defense. Three takeaways in that game. It was a very good showing by the defense. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the defense, and I kind of knew, and I've said this, pretty much preseason, leading up to the regular season, that this Bucks team's gonna have to rely on their defense, and their defense will you know, keep them in games, and that's what they did this week against the Minnesota Vikings. So, like I said, three takeaways. We got the Kirk Cousins. We pressured him. Uh, you know, we were able to capitalize on those turnovers. I believe we scored 10 points off those turnovers. So then that made the difference. The score was 20-17. I kind of figured it'd be around that area, 24-21 type of game. And I was almost right on the score. So yeah, it's let me put this up here. The look back here on the Bucks and Vikings. I'll go over the stats real quick here on as far as the Bucks go in this game. Let's see here. Yeah, so as far as Baker Mayfield goes, the offense, it was solid. Baker didn't turn the ball over. I know that's been sort of a bugaboo for Baker Mayfield throughout his career, has been the turnovers. He's had great moments in games. He's made some great plays, and he's also at times tried to make plays that weren't there. But pretty much, you know, throughout the whole game, he didn't try to do too much. And I know early on in the game, the first quarter, he was a lot of pressure was getting to him. The defensive ends were getting past their offensive line, rushed Baker Mayfield quite a bit. But, as soon as the game went on, second quarter on, I thought Mayfield composed himself, made the right plays, made the throws when he had to. They ran a couple of nice screens out, a couple of screenplays here and there that, helped a guy like Baker Mayfield, you know, not do too much. And that's the key, don't have Baker do too much. You got a team that's got a lot of good playmakers on there. Um, with Baker, I know at times he'll try to make a play that's not there. But like I said before, he didn't do that in this game. Um, he didn't make that mistake. And I was impressed. I was definitely impressed by Baker's moxie, his composure out there. And, he was one of the few bright spots on the offense. Now, Mike Evans had a touchdown, a very nice throw to Evans in the second quarter. Great play on a 30-yard touchdown pass. And Trey Palmer had a touchdown as well, his first NFL touchdown late in the third quarter. And then Chase McLaughlin, 2 field goals, including a 58-yard field goal that would eventually be the game winner. And Todd Bowles also going for it on 4th and 1, I believe in their own 25, 30-yard line. Very gutsy, but it worked, and they were able to extend the drive. And that was the other thing. On key third downs, they were able to convert, especially in the second half. And that is what propelled the Bucks to get a big win in Minnesota, open the year 1-0. Special teams is very good as well. Camarda had a couple great punts that were over 50 yards. I mean, and that's the key. Special teams, good defense, and offensively manage the clock. I will say, if there's one thing that didn't go very well for the Bucks, it was the run game. 73 total yards rushing. That's got to improve. But again, the Bucks were able to pull out this win with the turnovers, uh, and they were able to manage the clock. Getting some big throws on second and third down, and the run game's going to get better, but the offensive line also has to play a little better, and they didn't play bad at all. Actually, they only had 3 penalties the entire game. I was a little worried that with the new offensive line, you would see some penalties here. And I was thinking about maybe the 6 or 7 penalty mark, and that kind of in that range. But they only had 3, so they did a really good job in that aspect. But again, the run blocking's got to be better. And as far as the running backs, again, they got to do their part as well. They did do some nice run blocking in the game, so I'll give them that. But again, looking at it, 73 total yards rushing. Rachaad White led the way with 39 yards, but it was on 17 carries. So that's only 2 yards a carry. And again, it's the first game. So there is going to be a little bit of jitters there. Rachaad White's first start wasn't horrible, but wasn't great either. So hopefully that improves. Sean Tucker had 5 carries for 15 yards. And Baker Mayfield actually ran the ball a little bit as well. So he had 8 carries for 11 yards. So yeah, the run game does need to improve, but I really think it will, especially in this game coming up that we're going to preview this Sunday between the Bears and the Bucks. So Bucks fans, what do you think? Did you like our performance last week? I thought defensively, it was great. I love the Christian Izien interception off of Osborne, took it away from him. That was a great play, and I really felt like that play right there, late in the second quarter, right before half. The Vikings were driving; they were about to increase the lead, but instead, Christian Izien made a great play on the football. KJ Osborne had it, but Izien took it away from him. That was a very good play. And now, with that great play, may have come, with the price, because when Izien got the interception, he got knocked down by Justin Jefferson, and he has been in concussion protocol all week. So that may prevent him from playing in this game. I'm not sure yet. He is listed as questionable, but still, it was still a great play. We got a fumble early on in the game. Another turnover. There's 3 turnovers total. I was really impressed with the defense. Devin White played a good game. Levante always plays a very good game. So Winfield, he got a couple nice tackles off some safety blitzes. It was just really nice to see that defense step up, and I knew it would. I was never really worried about the defense because we do have a very good defense, or we got a lot of experience there. There's 6-7 players on defense that are from that Super Bowl team back in 2020. So that experience, along with the youth, with the Christian Izien, man, it is looking good. It is looking good. So I was really impressed with what they did on the field Sunday, and hopefully that'll translate into this week's game at home, the home opener against the Chicago Bears. And we'll preview that in a little bit. But yeah, those are my takeaways from this Bucks-Vikings game. As you know, last night the Minnesota Vikings did play on Thursday Night Football. They ended up losing to the Philadelphia Eagles, 37-24. There's going to be some fans that say, well, the Vikings, they're 0-2. Was that really a big win by the Bucks? No, I still think it is. Again, you can't help who you play. Minnesota offensively is pretty good. Kirk Cousins actually played a very good game last night, but he has no offensive line, and the Bucks took advantage of it. They, in their game against the Vikings, pressured him, got a few sacks, caused a fumble. So they got a turnover off that. So they took advantage of it. And good teams, good defenses take advantage of bad offensive lines. And that's what the Vikings have. So say what you want, a win's a win, and we're 1-0 heading into this week against Chicago. So I'll take it. And it wasn't the perfect game, but it was still a big win for us to open the season 1-0. There's obviously, it doesn't mean we're going to win the Super Bowl or even make the playoffs. There's 16 more games, so a lot can still happen, but it's a good start for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 1-0, confidence in the defense. Offensively, when they turn it on, they can turn it on. So, yeah, tell me what you guys think. Bucs fans out there, any football fans out there, what do you guys think of the Bucs' performance against the Minnesota Vikings? With that being said, I'm going to see a few comments here. Good evening, Fred Swayze Moore. How you doing tonight, sir? Go Bucs, yes, and cheers to you, my friend. Victory beer. That definitely tastes good. So we got a Facebook user that's waved hi. Let me check that one out. Sorry, guys. It's the whole StreamYard thing. Here, let me see who that is. It's Miss Odette. Odette Brensons. Thank you for tuning in tonight. How you doing? Appreciate it. And she waves, and she also says, I love the defense, much improved. Yeah, and I think it's always been a pretty good defense, Odette. They were pretty good last year. They just had injuries. Shaq Barrett was out for the year. Carlton Davis missed some time. Jamel Dean missed a couple games here and there. So, and we'll talk about Carlton Davis here. There is some news today from the final injury report that we will discuss in a little bit. But yeah, they've always been pretty good. But yesterday, last week, they did very well, against Minnesota. Great performance. Again, 3 turnovers. So we're +3 in that. That's always good to be on the plus side as a football team, especially in the first week. Again, that's what we're gonna have to rely on our defense this year. It's no more Brady, no more great offense. No Ryan Jensen now. He is done for the year. So it's going to be a little bit of a different offense, where it's probably not going to score as many points, but it's still going to be a pretty good offense if the run game can step up and get over 100 yards a game. Also manage the clock. Not have to put Baker Mayfield in situations where he's got to make plays. But again, with our defense, it's going to keep us in the games. It's going to help, especially when you create turnovers, it's going to help our offense even more. So, yeah, I've always thought this defense is really good, and it's no different so far this year from what we've seen, especially in this first game. So, yeah, you say they have improved. I say I've always seen them as a good defense, and there's always room for improvement. They can get a lot better. So, yeah, but good comment on that. All right, so did the Bucs versus Vikings look back? Now let's do a little preview of the Bucs versus the Bears. This is going to be a very interesting game. As you know, the Chicago Bears lost last week to the Green Bay Packers. That was a tough loss for them. They're 0-1. They're coming to town. They're looking to right the ship. They're going to go up against this guy right there, Mr. Villaveda, and the defense for the Bucs. Last week, like I said, the Bears lost to the Packers. And, with the Bears, get it here real quick. Get off here. From what I saw last week, I saw some of the game. the offensive line is not very good for Chicago. Okay, kind of like Minnesota. But Minnesota did lose. Um, One of their tackles didn't play in the game, um, and they had a different center playing. So the Bears, they got a lot of young guys on that um, offensive line, especially with their rookie Darnell Wright, who um, his first outing was okay, but that rest of that line did not play well. Justin Fields was, you know, panicking. He was trying to make plays that weren't there. He, in fact, ran the ball, uh, got stripped from behind, turned the ball over. Uh, the run game was not very good. Khalil Herbert didn't have a good game rushing. I feel like with this Bucks defense, the way they played last week, um, certainly can get to this offensive line and uh, make it a long day for Justin Fields. Now, he's a different quarterback. Kirk Cousins more in the pocket. He's going to get the ball out quicker. With Justin Fields, he he still likes to rely on his. Sometimes he likes to rely on his footwork. Likes to make plays on his own. When nothing's there, he wants to run the ball. So it is important to try and keep Justin Fields in that proximity. Don't let him get about 8 or 9 yards on a play. If we can do that, we should be able to win this game. Uh, Again, starts in the trenches. It always does. And with Fields, he's again he likes to make those plays. He likes if nothing's there, he's going to try and run for the first down. Um, and coaches in Chicago have been trying to work with him to where he needs to make better decisions with the football. Not if there's nothing there, try to make every play on his own. They're trying to if there's nothing there, just throw it away or live to see another down kind of play. So they're still trying to teach him how to do that. But last week, obviously he tried to do too much. The offensive line didn't help him out, and Green Bay was just able to get to him pretty much all day. They weren't able to score until the second half when the game was pretty much out of hand. So the Bucks, I think, have to set the momentum, set the tempo early, defensively, uh, create those turnovers again. Do it like they did last week against Minnesota. They do that, they should be able to win this game. Now, the line is 2.5 points. The Bucks are favored by 2.5 points. It kind of tells you that both these offenses aren't great, but the defenses are. So I think the Bucks defense is a little bit better, but we could see another low scoring type of game. It could be another 20-17 type of ball game, but I like the Bucks to definitely cover that. My score would be more like 24-13. I really think we can, um, win by more than 2.5. I really do. I think we can win by double digits, especially if our defense creates turnovers, forces Fields to make bad decisions, stop their run game, and then on offense for us, run the ball better, uh, manage the clock, move the chains, and control the time of possession. And that's something the Bucks did last week. I believe our time of possession was about over 10 minutes more than the Vikings. So I don't have the exact numbers, but from what I read, it was the Bucks definitely controlled the clock, especially in the second half. So yeah, then that's what the Bucks got to do again: control the pace defensively, cause turnovers. Um, don't get Justin Fields out in the open field. Isolate him, make him uncomfortable in the pocket, and also stop the run game. Again, the Bears are probably going to look to run the ball more this week, take a little pressure off Justin Fields. That's where our run defense at times was okay against the Vikings, but we did give up some big runs to Madison. So we do need to control the run game, make Fields throw the ball. And that's the key. make them throw, make them uncomfortable, put pressure on them early, get them frustrated. Because I saw him against the Bears on the sidelines. He looked frustrated. He does get frustrated. So our Bucs defense can do that, and that's what I expect him to do this week against the Chicago Bears. So my score would be 24-13 Tampa Bay. Should be a win for the Buccaneers. But again, that's, they play the game on the field, not on paper. So if we just do our part, don't beat ourselves, we should be okay. And we can possibly go 2-0 to start the season, heading into a big showdown the following Monday night against the Philadelphia Eagles, who, by the way, beat the Minnesota Vikings last night. They're 2-0. Philly, I don't think they don't look as good as they did last year, at least early on. They're 2-0. They're getting by, but next week, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but if we do win this Sunday, take care of business, both the Eagles and Bucs are 2-0. It's a big game, big NFC game, big matchup. Our defense against their offense, against Jalen Hurts. And that's another good thing about playing the Bears this week, is that we're going to be playing against a running type quarterback. That's what Jalen Hurts is. So it's good how the schedule, worked out. So we'll get kind of a preview of what we're going to see on Monday night next week, with Justin Fields. Now, I'm not saying, Justin Fields is as good as Jalen Hurts. I don't think he is, but it's just their style. Both their styles are they're running the quarterback. The Eagles do more RPO, but both Fields and Jalen Hurts can move around in and out of the pocket. So it's a nice preview of what we're going to see next week. But for this week, we got to take care of business. And that's Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. And also, I want to say real quick that, DJ Moore didn't really have that many targets last week against the Packers. They did a good job of neutralizing him. We got to do the same thing. But unfortunately, we did get the injury report today, the final one. Calijah Kancey, he's out. And unfortunately, Carlton Davis is out for this week's game. He didn't practice all week. He had a toe injury, or he's dealing with a toe issue. Some people say it may be turf toe. If that's the case, then that's an injury that just doesn't go away. It's going to linger for a while. Hopefully, it won't cause him to miss too much time. Last week they did play on turf, and we all know that's been the big topic this week. The turf, the league wanting to have all fields around the NFL with grass on it. There's been a lot of complaints lately, not just this past week, but in recent years about the injuries that have been happening. The majority of them been happening on artificial turf. So the NFL is looking into that. And most notably, they're looking into that because of what happened to this guy right here. Let's bring it up. Now, if you've been living under a rock all week long and you just now tuning into the NFL, you can see right there, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. He tore his Achilles Monday Night Football, just on 4 plays. That's all he had, 4 plays for the New York Jets. Then he got injured, and the diagnosis turned out to be the worst case scenario, which was the torn Achilles that will sideline him for the rest of the season and could possibly sideline him for maybe a part of next season. Now, as you see right there in that picture, he got the surgery from Dr. El Trachi. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's the same guy that did Kobe Bryant's, the late Kobe Bryant's Achilles injury, where he tore his Achilles back in 2013. Kobe at the time was like 35 or 36. Aaron Rodgers right now is 39 years old. And from what I hear, normally those kind of injuries, they take a year to fully recover. The rehab is uh, tremendously long, because you can't do anything on your repaired Achilles tendon for several weeks. It's worse than a torn ACL, um, because they got to let that tendon heal. It's a very soft tendon, so they got to let it. They got to reattach it, let it heal for a while, and then you got to rehab it. It's like you're learning to walk all over again. Now I've never had that kind of injury. It's like really can't speak on it, but I'm just going by what I hear. It's like you're almost trying to learn how to walk again, is what you're trying to do. So, and I know I've been kind of the Aaron Rodgers hater kind of thing, guilty. But you never want to wish anything on anybody, that kind of injury. It's too bad. The Jets um, had these aspirations this year to, not only make the playoffs, but they felt like they had a very good chance to, try and win a Super Bowl. They feel it's kind of like the Bucks. Remember in 2020, we all know that Tom Brady, all you needed was the quarterback. You had the offensive weapons in place. You had a really good defense. You just needed that quarterback to take you over the top. And the New York Jets felt like, okay, we got a good defense. We were 7-10 last year. Our defense kept us in every game. What was missing? The quarterback. Obviously Zach Wilson was the guy. Then he got benched for Mike White, who is now with the Miami Dolphins, backing up Tua Tagovailoa. So now you brought in Aaron Rodgers. We all saw Hard Knocks, how this team was figuring it out, getting used to each other, getting used to the playbook. Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator, who was the Denver head coach last year, but was Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator previous few years in Green Bay, is back with the Jets and back with working with Aaron Rodgers. So now, with Rodgers being out for the year, now you got to go back to Zach Wilson. So you're going back to square one. And, just looking at it, I don't know if they're not going to win the Super Bowl. They're not going to make the Super Bowl. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but I know their defense will once again keep them in ball games. And again, why am I speaking about the Jets so much when it's a Let's Buck with Ben? Well, because there's some similarities. The Bucks have a great defense too. One of the best ones in the league. 3 takeaways last week. Defense. What's the old motto? Defense wins championships. It's so true. And yes, the Jets have a very good defense, but you also have a good quarterback to take you to the promised land. Now, do I think the Bucks can make it to the promised land this year? I don't think so, but they are good enough to maybe win a division, go to the postseason, where anything can happen. And with the Jets, it could be the same thing. But the difference between Baker Mayfield and Zach Wilson is obviously Baker Mayfield's been to the playoffs. He's won a playoff game. When he was with the Browns, similar to what he had with the Bucks. He had a good offensive line, good offensive weapons. Although I think the Bucks definitely have much better weapons than the Browns did. I know they had Odell Beckham, they had Jarvis Landry, but I would take Godwin and Mike Evans any day over those two guys. Just saying. But they were able to manage the game. Baker was able, like he did this week, he managed the game, managed it well, didn't turn the ball over. Zach Wilson, that's what he has to do. He has to manage the game. And he's really learning a new offense because there's a new offensive coordinator. I don't know if Zach Wilson can do that. History has shown he's not been careful with the football all the time. That's why he was benched last year. Made some bad plays, and the team lost confidence in him. They made the switch at quarterback. So the outlook on the Jets this year, now that Aaron Rodgers is out with the injury for the year, I think this team can still win about 8 or 9 games. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I just don't know. The schedule is brutal. You know, they got to play the NFC East, Cowboys next week. Then you got to play the Patriots the following week, and a team that you've lost, like 15, 16 straight times now? You know, so you got that going on. You know, they got to play the Eagles still. You got to play Miami twice. It's a brutal schedule for this Jets team. You know, it just is. And I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome this. For Jets fans, I hope this team does overcome it and they get behind Zach Wilson. They're going to have to. You know, they're going to have to give this guy confidence and belief that he can be the guy. But it takes 2 to tango. You know, Zach Wilson has to give the team a reason to believe in him. You know, and what does he have to do? Manage the game. You got a good run game. You got Breece Hall, who's back from a knee injury himself. He missed most of last year as well. You got Dalvin Cook, who was just signed. You know, it's going to take him a little time to get used to the playbook. So you got 2 running backs who can definitely help you manage the game. And that's what they're going to have to do. You know, he's got Garrett Wilson, so there is some chemistry there. Garrett Wilson did play with Zach Wilson last year. So that's a plus. And the offensive line, they're going to have to protect him. They're going to have to protect Zach Wilson. They're going to have to help run block. Run blocking is pretty good for the Jets. It's the pass blocking that's has always been kind of a struggle with them the last few years. And ironically, Aaron Rodgers went down, got tackled because the offensive line didn't block on that play very well. So, but again, injuries happen. Happens to the best of them. Happened to Tom Brady, 2008. You know, tore his ACL, out for the year. So, you know, for the Jets, I don't expect a Super Bowl. The playoffs maybe, but it's a tough schedule. It is a very tough schedule. They're going to have to figure it out real quick. I do have Dallas beating the Jets this weekend. I just feel like Dallas's defense is so much better. Michael Parsons, you know, one of the best, you know, defensive ends in the game. You know, now will they do what they did to the Giants? No. I think the Jets will be ready to play. I believe right now Dallas is a 9-point favorite. I would definitely take the Jets in the points here. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. So, and a reminder too, if you want to get my picks for the week, I have a show that I drop every Wednesday night or Thursday mornings before the new week begins for the NFL. The Thursday night games start. It's called Ben's Quick Picks. You can find that on my YouTube channel. I will post that on the Ben Zone and on my personal page. And that's called Ben's Quick Picks. So it is up right now on my YouTube channel at Ben Cornett 9015. That's Ben Cornett 9015. As you're watching this show, you're also watching it on YouTube as well. So again, that's Ben's Quick Picks. I do this every week. So it's just straight up. Last week I went 9-7. Hopefully this week I have a better week. So yeah, check that out. Some other things, like I said before, the injury list came out today. Kalijah Cansey with the calf strain, he is not playing this week. Carlton Davis is out with a toe injury. Didn't practice all week. That's pretty much expected. You're going to be out. Christian Izien is questionable. Hopefully he can clear protocol. I believe he has one more day to do that. And if he does do that, he will play. So hopefully he's cleared. But at the same time, you also don't want to rush him back, especially nowadays with the protocols and everything. They're going to be very cautious. The head injuries, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. But like I said, the Bucks, I got them winning this weekend over the Chicago Bears. I'm going to go 24-13. I think we can get at least 2 turnovers. Especially if we get the Justin Fields that's panicky and want to try to do too much with the football. He tried to do that last week, caused a fumble, and no reason why we can't do it. And I think we have a better defense than the Green Bay Packers. So that's what I'm expecting. Anybody in the comment section want to give me your predictions? What do you think? The Bucks, are they going to win? How much will they win by? Let me know. So, and then, obviously we got some other NFL games this week. It's not just our team. Some games. I think the Packers-Falcons is going to be sneaky good. Big win against the Bears last week. I'll give them that. This week, we got to see what Jordan Love can do, though. Yeah, he had a good game against the Bears, but Jordan Love also has a good offensive line, also has a good running game with Aaron Jones. And speaking of Aaron Jones, if you saw the play last week, late in the third quarter, he had that big run for a touchdown. He grabbed his hamstring, and he hasn't really practiced all week, so they may not have him in this game. And that's why I picked the Falcons to win, because they're going to be in Atlanta. The run game is going to help Jordan Love. And if you don't have that run game, it could be you're going to make Jordan Love have to throw the ball. And there were times where he, had some good throws, but again, he's not played much. And Atlanta's defense is vastly improving. They were able to control Bryce Young last week. They couldn't really get anything going offensively, especially in the second half. Atlanta's offense, Tyler Algier and the rookie Bijan Robinson, they scored touchdowns for the Falcons offense. Desmond Ridder did okay, not great, but he didn't have to do too much. So I kind of like Atlanta in this game. Hate to say it, they're in our division, but I can see Atlanta beating Green Bay. So that's just my pick. Got a comment in here. See, Fred Swayze Moore says 23-10 Bucks. Yeah, I could see that. Again, Justin Fields, pressure him, make him uncomfortable. The offensive line for Chicago, they got a rookie there, Darnell Wright. It could be a long day for him, especially if we get turnovers. And all we have to do is, be able to control the clock, score some points, and we should be fine. So yeah, 23-10, that sounds about right. I live here in Las Vegas, and the big story, the Raiders won, beat Denver 17-16 first week. Some Raider fans are good. They're kind of realistic. Then there's some like, man, we're going to be great this year. No, you're not. Let's calm down. You beat Denver. It's a division game. Good for you guys. You've won the last 3 or 4 in Denver. Now you got to go to Buffalo. It's a big game. Buffalo, they're going to want to pick themselves off the mat. Josh Allen had 3 turnovers last week. And as you know, this week, Stephon Diggs, he's been in the news. The wide receiver for Buffalo, the Buffalo media. So we got into it with the reporter. So, yeah, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes. I just don't think Josh Allen's going to have another bad game. He's one of those quarterbacks that when he has a bad game, the next week he usually has a pretty good game. And you got to go up to Buffalo. I know the Raiders were in West Virginia for the past couple of days. Being on the East Coast a little earlier, trying to get used to that time change. I still don't think that'll make a difference. I think Buffalo, it'll be a close game. I think it's going to be closer than people think, but I still like the Bills to beat the Raiders here. And then the Raiders come home, open up their home opener on Sunday night against the Steelers. Should be an interesting game there. And speaking of the Steelers, they look to bounce back tomorrow night, Monday night against the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, that wasn't very good. That was pretty embarrassing. The Steelers went through. 49ers are a great team anyway, but they did beat the brakes off the Steelers last week. Cleveland had a big win against Cincinnati, but they've been dominating Cincinnati anyway. It's a close game. I had to go back and forth on that. Deshaun Watson played a good game. Kenny Pickett, not such a good game. But I think the Steelers are going to bounce back in this one. It'll be close. It'll be a close game. Typical AFC North kind of game. Tough. Defenses are going to show out. The run game is going to be on display. It's going to be a heavy run game. But I think the Steelers are going to take this one. I think Cleveland's lost the last 7 or 8 games in Pittsburgh. So, except for the one playoff regular season games, the only time they beaten them lately in Pittsburgh was the playoff game, ironically, when Baker Mayfield was there. So, there you go. But I took the Steelers in that one. So, yeah, that should be an interesting game Monday night. Niners are playing the Rams. That's a Sunday afternoon game. The Rams surprisingly beat the Seahawks last week. Do I think they can beat the Niners? Any team can beat anybody, but the way the 49ers are playing right now, I don't see the Rams beating them. The Niners will win that game. They've dominated the Rams in the regular season, and I think that continues. Brock Purdy's played well. The defense for the Niners playing really well. So I expect a win for the Niners. Yeah, so those are pretty much the big games this week. The Sunday night game, the Dolphins and Patriots. I took the Patriots. As an upset. The Dolphins played the Chargers last week. San Diego's great offense, but no defense. The Dolphins were able to hang a 34 burger on them. So this week you got to go up north to play the Patriots. It's another road game. The defense is going to be much, much better. New England almost beat the Eagles opening day. So, they were able to hang in there with the defending NFC champions. I think they can slow down the Dolphins. They're going to miss one of their tackles again for Miami, so they can get to Tua, make his night uncomfortable. So I think it'll be enough. That's my upset pick of the week: the Patriots over the Dolphins. So yeah, hopefully I get that one right. So those are pretty much the games of the week for me. Obviously the Bucks, the Bears. I know most of the country that might not be a great game to watch, but for me, I'm a Bucks fan, so I've got to watch it. But as far as the other games go, the Packers Falcons, the Jets Cowboys, Dolphins Patriots. I think those are the games to watch. This weekend. Steelers and Browns Monday night in Pittsburgh. That should be an interesting game. So those are the games I'm most interested in seeing. Just based off the fact that I think they're all going to be competitive. They're young teams as well. Green Bay's a young team. Atlanta's a young team. The Jets Cowboys. What's life going to be like with Aaron Rodgers or without him? You got to go back to Zach Wilson, the guy you benched, then went to get Aaron Rodgers. How's he going to play? How's this going to work for him? Are the Jets going to, be behind him? They're saying they're behind him now and everything. But once they get on the field, it could be a different story. We'll see what happens. But You know, I would like to see the Jets do well without Aaron Rodgers. Now, it's interesting because what if they do good against without Aaron Rodgers? What if they do good with Zach Wilson? What's the future look like for Aaron Rodgers? Let's say Zach Wilson plays really well. They leads them to the playoffs. Maybe even win a playoff game. Now you got to wonder, well, this Zach Wilson guy, he's finally turned out to be the guy that we drafted. Now, personally, I have my doubts. I don't think he will do that, but what if? What if he leads his team to win the division, make the playoffs, maybe even win a playoff game? Then you have that conundrum, man, do we stick with Zach Wilson? Do we go back to Aaron Rodgers? And how's Aaron Rodgers going to be after being out a year? We don't even know if Aaron Rodgers will be back next year. Because again, a torn Achilles, with the surgery, the rehab, that's at least a year. We're close to a year. So you're looking at best case scenario, late August before he can even resume football activities. Well, that's pretty much the end of preseason. Are you just going to throw Aaron Rodgers back out there? So it's something you got to really think about here. So it's quite the conundrum for the Jets. This may be the last time Aaron Rodgers ever puts on a Jets uniform. We don't know. He could come back and play well. But we don't know. It's the unknown. And the Jets going with the guy that they benched last year because they felt he wasn't the guy. And I kind of feel the same way. I don't think Zach Wilson is either, but he has a chance to prove me and a lot of people wrong. And that's the beauty of football. I've been wrong several times. I've been right several times. So we'll see how it goes. I'm very interested now. I'm going to be paying attention to that game, that Jets-Cowboys game. I believe it's on the same time the Niners and Rams. But that Jets-Cowboys game is going to be fun to watch. Even if you're just a casual football fan, that's the game you want to watch. You want to watch just mainly the storylines are there. No more Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson's the guy now. So that's what people are going to tune in to watch, see what happens. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to see what happens here. I'm very interested to see. I've been listening to a lot of Jets podcasts this week, watching on YouTube, stuff like that. A lot of them are trying to be positive. And there's some that are like, here we go again. Typical Jets, our luck. Or bad luck, maybe so, but you never know. Maybe this is the time. Maybe Zach Wilson finally steps up to the plate and performs like, the Jets expected him to when they drafted him in 2021. So we'll see. It should be a very interesting weekend in the NFL. I'm excited. Let's get this going. And for the Bucs, let's go 2-0. This team can definitely beat the Bears. They showed last week that they can, with our defense, we can beat anybody. Isn't that right, Christopher Cole, who just tuned in? And he says, hey, Christopher Cole, thanks for tuning in tonight. How you doing, my friend? He is watching on YouTube. I know Christopher Cole's ready. He knows the Bucs are going to win this game. I know they're going to win this game. Why? Because our defense. That's what's going to lead us this season. It's going to be our defense. Yes, Carlton Davis is out. Yes, Kalijah Kancey's out. Maybe Christian Azien's out. Maybe not. But we still got Jamel Dean. We're going to use Zion McCollum, his sophomore year. Maybe it's his time to step up. We still got Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett. Levante's going to be there. he'll never take a day off. He always outperforms. He works 7 days a week, twice on weekends, twice on Sunday, I should say. Devin White, we need the consistency out of him. If he wants that contract, he'll step up. He did last week. Played really well. Vita Vea, he's going to be mauling the offensive line. Good luck trying to double team him. He'll break through those. Hell, JTS, Joe Tyron Shayanka, he had a pretty good game. He had a few tackles. He had a sack, too. I mean, this defense is looking good. There's no reason why we cannot beat the Bears. Especially, and they're going to come in. The Bears are desperate. Sometimes desperate teams do desperate things. And that's where mistakes get made. But we got to keep our mentality hungry. We got to be hungry. Not hungry like the Raheem Morris days. God knows we don't need that. Although Raheem Morris has really improved. I hope he gets another opportunity to be a head coach one day. He's really improved. He's the Rams defensive coordinator. Hopefully he'll get another crack at it. But, the Bucs defense, it's looking good. It's got to keep its foot on the gas. No let up, no taking it off, no taking the Bears lightly. You don't want to take anybody lightly in the NFL. Because who knows? They may catch you on that day. Hopefully that doesn't happen to us. And for the offense, for the Bucs, Baker Mayfield, just manage the game, make some plays when they're there. You got great weapons. Godwin, you got Mike Evans. You threw a touchdown to Mike Evans. Evans is going to be there. He'll be there for you. Just give him the ball. Trey Palmer, get him the ball. He had a touchdown last week. The run game, I will say, needs to improve. So does the run block. The run blocking's got to improve as well. But, Rachaad White, let's see if he can get about 70, 80 yards this week. Let's see if Sean Tucker can get 30, 40 yards. Let's see if this Bucs off running game can get over 100 yards. We do that, man, our offense is going to click. And again, it's time of possession as well. You run the ball, that takes more time off the clock. You get those first downs, takes time off the clock. That's the key. And all we got to do on defense, stop them, get force turnovers. We should win this game. And like I said earlier, I'm saying it right now. Bucs 24, Bears 13. They're going to win by 11. And I'm going to say the Bucs get 2 turnovers this week. I won't get too greedy. I would say 3 or 4, but I'm going to go 2. Because I think our run game will improve. While the offense will have the ball more. And it did last week against Minnesota. But I think this week, if we run the ball well, get multiple first downs, have a good 6-7 minute drives on every offensive drive, or just about every offensive drive, should be a easy win heading into the big Monday night game against Philly the following Monday. So, yeah, that's what I expect. I expect this team to win. But you never know. Again, no Carlton Davis. Will that hurt a little? A little bit. He's our best cover corner. He had I forgot to mention, he had a big play on third down late in the game that swiped the pass away that was going to go to Jefferson. And that would have been a first down for the Vikings. They could have, marched down the field to try and score, take the lead perhaps, or tie it, or at least tie it up. But Carlton Davis made a game-saving stop there on third down, forced the Vikings to punt, and we were able to get the win, got the big third down, the throw to Godwin, the great catch, sealed the game. Yeah, we're going to miss that with Carlton Davis this week. Hopefully it's not a lingering injury where it keeps him out for more than a game. But at the same time, like I said, you don't want to rush players back if they're not fully healthy. And I know Carlton Davis will probably tell you he wants to be back, but he wants to be out there this week. It's going to crush him a little bit that he's not going to be able to play, but it's okay. It's next man up in the NFL. That's the mentality. Next man up. Zion McCollum's going to most likely take his spot this week. And this is a chance for McCollum to step up, shine his sophomore season, And I'm sure that they're gonna try and attack him, because they know Davis is out. Go after this guy, So this is where McCollum's got to step up and show them that, I'm gonna shut down your wide receiver. That's what he's got to do. Christopher Cole, Vikings could trade Cousins to the Jets. Yeah, that's a very interesting thing I read this week, And it goes back to what I said before. Zach Wilson, if he doesn't play well, do the Jets go after a guy like Kirk Cousins? Maybe. Now, do the Vikings want to give him up this year? Maybe. They're 0-2. They're 0-2. I would say turnovers have been their biggest bugaboo. They've 7 turnovers in 2 games. Now, Kirk hasn't played great, but he's played pretty good. But who knows? Maybe the Jets will look into that, But for this week, Zach Wilson's their guy. And if Zach Wilson actually plays well, they may not have to look for Kirk Cousins. But if Zach Wilson doesn't and reverts back to the Zach Wilson from 2021 and 2022, then Jets may be desperate to try and salvage the season. But again, they are 1-0. So that gives them a little wiggle room. But, 1-1's not the end of the world. But, hey, like Christopher Cole said, they could trade for Cousins. They could trade for another quarterback. I've heard Stafford's name out there, But the Rams are 1-0 too. What if they beat the Niners this week? That kind of takes Stafford off the list. Because they believe he could win. The Rams could still win. So, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting what the Jets do. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to a lot of these games this weekend. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take off here. But I want to thank everybody who commented on here tonight. Everybody, thank you for watching this show. It's been a good week. Hopefully, after this weekend, it'll be another Victory Monday. Bucks go 2-0. And before I go, please like and share this show and all my other shows as well. My social media handles are on the bottom right there. On X at BennyBoy702. And on YouTube, where you're watching it right now, guys like Christopher Cole are watching on my YouTube channel at BenCornett9015. Facebook, I'm on the Ben Zone Facebook group, but if you're not in that group and you're a friend of mine on Facebook, I share it on my page, so you can check it out there. And if you're an Instagrammer, I am at Ben702forever. That's Ben702forever, where you can see pics, clips, videos, everything an Instagrammer does. So, yeah, you check that out there as well. And don't forget, once again, I'll remind everybody one more time that I have a new show out during the football season. I put on YouTube. It is called Ben's Quick Picks. My week 2 picks are up right now. The second episode is up on my YouTube channel, so check that out. That's me picking all the games this week for week 2. Like I said last week, I went 9-7, and hopefully this week I can do better than that. So right there, Ben's Quick Picks. It is on my YouTube channel at Ben Cornett 9015. With that being said, everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. Appreciate it, and enjoy the weekend. Enjoy week 2. Bucks fans, let's get this win. And for anybody else that's fans of other teams, good luck to you this weekend. Let's go. Let's watch some football, baby. And I will see you next time right here on Have At It and Let's Buck with Ben Remix. Everybody have a good night, and I will see you next time. Take care.